Live from the Dragon's Lair at the Kalispell, Montana headquarters of Falkor Defense, this is Behind the Flame. Folks, welcome to today's episode. We know we've been gone for about a week for the live shows, and today we've got an awesome episode for you. Longtime supporter of Falkor Defense, good friend of the owners and John, and all of us here. We have Branch Warren in-house, legendary bodybuilder. His reputation and career precedes him. I am not going to give him the intro. John's going to do that for Branch. I'm going to clear up some housekeeping things before we get started. Today's episode is brought to you by our awesome sponsors, Kenzie's Optics, 221B Tactical, Mark Bell Slingshot, Bang Energy, Taurus USA, and the awesome Chick-fil-A Kalispell. As usual for the episode today, folks, we are doing a giveaway, and this week we are doing a Raging Bull 454 Casull /44 Mag revolver from Taurus, and of course a Falkor swag pack. To enter the giveaway, if you already left us a review on the iTunes podcast app, that is how you're going to get into it. Drop a review in there for us, preferably 5 stars, along with your Instagram handle, and we'll pick a winner this afternoon. Austin and I will be live on Instagram for that. So without any further ado, let me hand it over to our host, John Bartolo.
Thank you, Sam. I'm going to go around the horn like I always do with everybody in here. I want to thank Austin Web Designs. He's taken over a lot of the production here. He's doing good.
Awesome.
He's fresh back from vacation. I'm excited to have him back. Of course, we have Scummins with the announcements, Rebel Scummins. We also have Noah here, visiting from Wiseman Company, and fresh out of PA. He got in at midnight last night. My house guest. Haley J. Photo, wearing normal pants today. She didn't comb her hair, but she's wearing normal pants. She looks like she jumped out of a hamper. No, I'm kidding. And of course, Candace, Rogue One, in the house. And Daisy. I'd shout out Derek, but Daisy's the star. So excited to have everybody in here. I'm sure Melinda and Jason will be joining us. I want to thank them for paying the bills and keeping the lights on. They're on a coffee run. They'll be right back. And I know Branch could use the coffee. But without further ado, I'm super excited to have not just a guest. I know I do this a lot with a lot of the folks in, as you guys have heard on the YouTube and on the podcast. This is a friend. This is a real friend. Branch talked for a minute next door about what real friends are, and this is a guy who's been through a lot with me the last 3 or 4 or 5 years now, and it's at least 3 years plus. So, I really value his friendship. I'm not going to get into his accomplishments because they're noted and stated. He's been out there. He's done, a million different things in multiple communities. And his fan base precedes him in terms of the people he's reached, influenced, and gotten into strength training and everything in between. So I'm really excited to have him. He's had the tour multiple times. He's a friend of the Falkor family. He's been in the building. He shot the rifles. You'll never meet a guy with more understanding of how this company ticks, probably, on this show. He knows all the good, bad, and the ugly, and we'll get into some of that, and we're going to get into a lot of the personal stuff, and we spend a lot of time chatting with the team across the hall, which we do. So I'm going to, turn it over to Branch. I'm excited to have you, and I can't thank you enough for coming.
Well, man, thank you for having me out. So, I love Montana. One day, me and Trish, if we ever leave Texas, we're coming to Montana. So it's God's country, So
we got some room for you here.
Yeah. So I love it here, man. So thank you for having me out again. And how long we know each other? 3, 4, 5 years, you were saying?
Yeah. It's 3+ now, I would imagine, right?
So I'll tell you this little story how I met this guy. So actually, Trish was my wife was on Instagram, and she saw this guy, 2 guys on Instagram post, wearing all this tactical gear, and this guy's got a sledgehammer, beating a tire with it. Beating the crap out of this tire with a sledgehammer, where he's got a Branch Warren t-shirt on. I'm like, that's a cool dude. I like that dude. And so the 2 guys in the post were John and then Tony Sintemont. And I guess they were out doing a training course or something. So I think we reached out, sent him a message, DM or something through Instagram, and invited him to the Arnold Classic that year I was competing in, which actually turned out to be my last competition. And the rest is history.
And how the hell did we become friends? Why the hell would you be my friend? I mean, of all the people
I ask myself that every day.
John, you're not nearly cool enough to be Branch's
seriously. No, I mean, it's funny because, I don't think I've ever really told him this or shared this. I was always a fan, I guess, but I'm not a fan boy. I'm not someone who gets starstruck. I always admired his work ethic and what he put into things and the effort that he put forth in anything that he did. I kind of watched from afar. I wasn't, I think Branch knows me well enough to know I'm not a guy who gets starstruck. I'm not like, ooh, let me take a picture. I don't even think I asked him for a picture for a while.
I would have told you no.
Yeah, I think we just happened to take a couple.
We talked about that.
Yeah, but along the way we became, very close friends. I think we chat almost every day. So his friendship's been enormous for me in terms of growth and achieving kind of some of the places I've reached, and I don't think I could have done it without him and without his, we've had a lot of those talks, keeping my feet on the ground, so I can't thank you enough for that. Let's dive right in as we always do. We always do this with guests. You have such a rich history, it's hard for me to say, tell me how you got here like I do with some guests, but let's start with kind of, talk a lot about, your journey in hunting and fishing and what makes you the outdoorsman that you are.
Well, I grew up in northwest Texas, so I grew up on a cattle ranch, and I think our closest neighbor was about 8 miles away. So there was two things to do out there: you hunt, you fished, and you drank beer. So, and so I was a young boy, too young to drink beer. So my father started taking me with him hunting when I was 5 years old, and when I was 7 years old, he bought me my first gun. And I started hunting. So I started off hunting, small game, dove, quail, squirrels, rabbits, things like that. And then when I was 12 years old, I told my dad, I said, hey, I want to hunt deer. And he said, well, you better go get a rifle. I was like, why can't I use one of yours? You've got a whole closet full. He's like, go get your own rifle. You want to hunt deer? Go buy your own rifle. I'm thinking, I got no money. So how am I going to do this? So he goes, well, you better go to work, save your money. And so I remember I worked all summer, saved up enough money, and I bought my first deer rifle, and I still have that rifle.
What was it? What is it?
It was a Winchester Model 94 30-30. So,
solid.
Solid. So,
how much was it? Is the better question.
How much you pay?
I paid $183.93.
I don't believe that thing. Is that really the price?
That's exactly the price.
You remember the exact price?
Absolutely, because you don't know how hard I worked hauling hay.
Fuck yeah, man.
Building
That's awesome.
fence to earn that money to buy it. So
in one box of ammo.
Yeah, you didn't waste bullets, man, because that shit was expensive. Yeah. So, but you remember that, when you're that young,
that's
to
cool.
Save up that much money, and I worked my ass off all summer, and I still have that rifle. So maybe one day if I'll pass it on to my daughter or my son. So,
or pass it on to a good friend that you made in the last 3-4 years.
You don't know what a Winchester 94 even is.
So, it's funny because the Texas thing comes up a lot. We had a couple guests on from Texas where it's so burned into your soul to be a part of the outdoors and a part of that hunting community.
Texas is different. If you ain't from there, it's hard to understand it. But Texas is the best place on the planet, man. Period. So,
right.
And if you're not born there, you don't understand that. But it's when you come from Texas, born and raised there, it's just a different deal.
Different deal. So you get into the hunting and fishing, and you're doing that at a young age, and along the way comes the bodybuilding and comes the fitness, and you manage to kind of be one of the guys I admired because you were always bridging those two worlds long before myself or even I would say. Tony and some of us were talking about it, but you were on the hunting side. So a lot of people didn't realize when you dove into this and you've been seen around the firearms world and doing some stuff and some ad campaigns, and even Phil was recently in the Silencer co-ad, that you had done this for so long. You had such a rich history of doing it.
Now, I started hunting when I was 5 years old, got my first weapon, and when I was 7, and I grew up deer hunting basically anything that, if it walked, swam, crawled, flew, I hunted it, and because we hunted it for food growing up, and that's wild game was definitely a part of our diet, and I've been involved in the hunting industry for my whole life. I was on a TV show for 5 years on the Outdoor Channel called The Hit List. Myself, Chad Ritter, Joe Swindle, Andy Morgan, we were all on there, and had a great time with those guys. Got to travel around. After the Olympia was over every year, then I dedicated the next 4 or 5 weeks of the year to hunting. So I had a great time with those guys, and I got to hunt some of the best deer hunting in the country, and it was a great time.
And,
So
you know, what's funny is a
so
lot of
moving, when I hooked up with you guys and met Jason Melinda here at Falkor, it was just a natural progression into something that it's easy to represent something that you truly love and you're passionate about. So that's it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people out there, when they started seeing you pop up again, I know you had focused on your career in the middle there for a couple of years because you were at the top of your game, and you kind of dove back in. People didn't realize how much involvement you had in that hunting community and with the NRA, and I mean, you walk around and some of those guys like Corleone and some of those dudes that you've rubbed elbows with.
Yeah, he's not new to this.
He's not new to this. And there were people that kind of chimed in and were like, oh, he's just a bodybuilder with a gun. And I'm like, no.
But what's wrong with a bodybuilder with a gun?
Not a damn thing.
Not anything, right? So, I mean, I think anybody is welcome into the 2A community. I think that transcends race, religion, ethnicity, everything. So everybody's welcome. So what's wrong with that? I hear people say that, oh, bodybuilder with a gun. Well, yeah, I like to hunt, and I like to fish, and I like to shoot. So what's wrong with that?
Do you think there's a stigma that comes along with being in shape?
I'd rather be in shape than be some fat ass with a 50-inch waist.
Amen. Right.
So, but, to each his own. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in shape and being fit. I live my passion. My dream was to be a professional bodybuilder. And I got to live my dream, through a lot of hard work. And God blessed me. So I was able to live my dream for almost 20 years. I'm still living my dream.
Do you think that stigma exists in the gun community because people feel like, oh, I got a concealed carry permit, so, I can just look like shit? It doesn't matter. I don't have to be trained.
Talisman of protection.
Yeah.
That I don't know. It's not everybody wants to be a bodybuilder. I get that. I promote several fitness shows and expos across the country, and there's many different divisions because not everybody wants to be a bodybuilder. We have CrossFit, we have powerlifting, strongman, we have many different sports, and not everybody wants to do that. So that's cool. But I do think everybody needs to exercise. Exercising and maintaining a certain level of physical fitness has so many benefits, health-wise and mentally, emotionally, to just being in shape. So I think I encourage everyone to do something, whether it's running, swimming, lifting weights, whatever it is, and do something to stay active, stay in shape.
We talked a lot in the other room about the mental toughness. You get your hand in so many things, Branch. Why don't, I mean, there's so many routes we can go talking about stuff. Why don't you give the listeners and the viewers some insight into what you get your hands in today and what you got going on?
Well, the biggest thing I got going on right now is wicked cuts. So one bite, and you'll agree, it's the best damn jerky you've ever had. So we've got 7 flavors. We've got 3 beef, 2 turkey, 2 bacon. If you haven't had bacon jerky, the maple bacon jerky is like the best tasting stuff ever.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, no bullshit. It's awesome.
It's so good, it'll make you want to slap your mama. So
did you bring any?
I did, but it's not on the table.
I know. I'm a little upset I would have had it.
Because I know you'd already ate it. So, my partner, Scott James, who was the founder of BSN back in the day, we started this here. We just launched about 6-7 months ago, going very well. In addition to that, I've got Gasp clothing, sportswear. I've been with these guys for 11 years now. They were out of Stockholm, so they came to North America 5-6 years ago. So got my own clothing line through those guys. Then what else do I got going on? I've got several fitness expos that I mentioned, bodybuilding competitions, expos, and
what are some of the states?
Houston. I've got Houston, Dallas, Minneapolis, and then we had one in Chicago this year. First time we had one in Chicago. So I'm potentially going to expand to South America next year. We're trying to work out the details now. Maybe Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay possibly next year.
Ooh.
And these are, I've actually, for those of the viewers out there more like me that have never been to a fitness expo or aren't ingrained in that community, it's a fitness competition portion and like an expo for brands to come out and
Correct. We like in Houston, we have an expo. We have fitness-related companies. Actually, Falkor Defense had a lot of 2A community.
Yeah, we had Jacob down there. I think,
Yeah, 2A community companies that were down there. It's anything fitness-related. We have.
That's becoming a bit of an outdoorsy
so it's for anyone to go
too.
to. Yeah. It's for anyone to go to and check out.
It's a perfect fit, man. It's Texas, and it's a perfect fit. We kind of blend the two worlds. But we have 11 other events. We have, of course, a bodybuilding show, fitness figure bikini show, CrossFit, jiu-jitsu tournament, arm wrestling tournament. We have midget wrestling.
That's the best.
I do, yeah.
That is the best.
So that's my favorite, and dudes are good. And I can't name all. I can't missing a few of them, but we have a big variety of different activities and sports. So there's something for everybody. And I just want people to come out. It's a family event. Come out, and I guarantee you, everybody will find something there that motivates them. And I just hope to provide a platform where athletes can come, have fun, compete, and then the spectators can come and watch their friends, family, loved ones, and then maybe they get motivated to get out and better themselves too.
That's awesome, man.
Now, the answer may be obvious, but I'm going to ask it. Why jerky? What made you choose jerky?
Well, I guess the story on that goes, like I said, Scott, my partner, was owner of BSN, and he sold the company several years back, and I knew Scott from the BSN days.
And you two had always wanted to work together.
We'd always wanted to work together. We'd said that several times, and he said, "Hey, let's get together and do something." So I assumed he wanted to do another supplement company, and we started talking. And he said, "Hey, what do you think about doing jerky?" I'm like, "Jerky?" At first, I thought about it. I was like, "I don't know much about jerky. I know I like it, but other than that." And we started thinking about it. We talked about it.
You start thinking you're going to be making it in the fucking kitchen.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm like, I don't even think about cooking jerky. So, but I can tell you what I like and what I don't like. But the more I looked into it, I was like, you know what? This could be really good because it fits into my whole fitness background. Beef jerky's, keto friendly. Most of the flavors are, not all of them, but it's healthy. And, with the fitness supplement market, I've got that's another thing I've got going on. I've got my own line of supplements, nutritional bodybuilding supplements through Black Skull USA, and we're in South America, Europe, and the Middle East. And then, the jerky thing kind of complements that. Plus, beef jerky appeals to everybody, not just fitness athletes. Anybody, everybody, any and everybody likes beef jerky unless they're a vegan. So, instead of marketing to like 4 or 5% of the population with the fitness supplements, you're marketing to probably 90% of the population. So it's a lot more potential there, and it's a new challenge, which I really like. I'm not afraid to step into a new arena and learn something new. So I just took all that dedication and discipline that I learned through bodybuilding and applied that in business. So it's going very well.
And you got deep involved in the process of it. A lot of people don't realize this. You were down there checking out the refinement and the finishing product, and you had a huge say in what it was that was going into the packaging. And
yeah, this is not just my name on it. I actually own the company, and like the original, that's a family recipe that passed down from my grandfathers, passed it down to us through generation to generation. So that's a family recipe, and I had a big say so on all the development, and from the writing on the back, which I wrote myself, believe it or not. Yes, bodybuilders can read and write, but I'm very much involved in the company on a day-to-day basis. We go in the office every day, and so I'm there slugging it out.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's badass.
And, I think, you touched on something we'll come back to, seeing that merger between health and fitness and productivity and shooting and hunting. And that's something that's a common theme with you, with me, with Tony, and with a lot of guys out there. And, you're seeing a huge divide in the 2A industry between those two worlds. Some people are just, fighting and I use the term training. Training's always been a huge part of Falkor. It's always been, a big part of ingrained into us. But, we'll come back to that. But we were talking a lot in the other room about what it takes to be successful. And I see some questions coming in saying, what a businessman you are and this and that. And I don't think people realize, Branch says this all the time, 3-4 years before he retired, he was building his exit strategy, and you are officially retired now. And, he was building these building blocks of business, and I don't think everybody realizes out there how much you can learn. I mean, we went right up to the bell in that other room talking about what it takes to be successful, what it takes to be a champion. And I want you to share with everybody a little bit what you feel your formula is to be successful. And you talked a lot about, success and dedication and the hard work that it takes. What are your kind of 3 bullet points you give people? I don't know if it's 3, but what are your bullet points that you give folks out there to get on that path?
If speaking from a sports perspective, it doesn't matter what sport it is, basketball, football, bodybuilding, track field, cycling, swimming, whatever. The first thing you have to have the genetics to enable you to have the potential to do the sport. If I want to be an NBA basketball player at 5'7", not going to happen. Let's just be realistic here. And I knew that early on. So you got to have the genetics to do the sport that you want to do. Now, if you have the genetics, that doesn't ensure you're going to be successful. Through hard work, dedication, and busting your ass every day, then you develop the ability to be successful in that sport. And then you got to have heart. You know, everybody has setbacks, man. You have injuries, you have defeats, you have many things that can come your way. But a true champion just has something in them that you can't teach, you can't coach it. You have it or you don't. And I had many injuries through my career. I had many setbacks. I suffered some defeats that really stung. But I would just go right back to the gym and I'll start working to fix whatever I need to fix, overcome what I need to come, and come back and win. You know, I learned more from every defeat I had than I did from any victory I ever had. Every time I lost a major competition, it's because I did something wrong or I needed to improve something. So I went back and I fixed whatever I needed to fix. You know, I studied my nutrition better. I trained harder. I did whatever I needed to do to fix what I needed to fix so I'd come back and win. You know, I've had many injuries through the years, and I came back from every injury and won, you know, because I refused. I was not going to let anybody or anything or any event dictate to me who I was going to be or when I was going to be done. I was going to be the one who decided when I was done, and nothing else is going to, you know, dictate who or what I was going to be. I was going to decide that. And that's just the heart of a champion. And I've known a lot of successful athletes, you know, from MMA guys to NFL players to professional baseball players. And they all have the same thing. And it's, I don't think you can coach it. I don't think you can teach it. I think you just have it or you don't. And, you know, it's a rare combination. You get somebody with the genetics, the heart, and that dedication, discipline, and drive, you know, to succeed. And when you have that, that's when you get a champion. You get something that they're special. No one else has it.
What about outside of the athletic space? Just the average guy watching right now that just says, geez, you know, I really enjoy fitness. Maybe I'm a little further along. Maybe I don't have the genetics, but I want to be successful in business and in life. What do you feel those key ingredients are?
You gotta have some common sense. I think common sense is one of the most important things you can have in life. And that's a little bit different. You know, when I say common sense, that's different than, you know, book smart or having a degree. You know, you can still have common sense and be book smart too, but you got to have common sense to be successful in business. And it's a lot of the same things that makes you successful as an athlete. You got to have discipline, self-discipline, and you got to have that drive to push ahead and be successful. You know, business is hard, man. You have setbacks just like you do in athletics, and you know, you can't be afraid to fail. I think that's the biggest thing that scares a lot of people off from business is they're afraid to fail. And no one's ever done anything great in business without risking something. And I think so. Don't be afraid to fail. If you fail, what's the worst that happens? You fail. You pick yourself up, you get back up, and you try again. And you know, you got to have some common sense. You know, don't try to reinvent the wheel. You know, have common sense about whatever it is you get into and how you go about. Have a sound plan and follow through with it.
I think that's great advice, and I don't think people simplify it enough to that point where you just say, hey, be smart, make smart decisions, common sense, you know, analyze slow, and make the right decision, not any decision. Play chess, not checkers.
Yeah, you got to think it out. Don't rush into something without thinking it out. I think a lot of guys have some great ideas, but they rush into it without thinking it through and having a solid plan, and they fail. And not because they had a great idea, they just didn't follow through with it.
What do you think of social media?
It's here to stay.
I know you've gone through the gamut, and I know, you know, you've listened to me, my rants, and we've debated it, and I know Trish helps you a lot with it. But you know, like we talked a lot about, like even Instagram. You got into that game a little late. What are your thoughts on it? The good, the bad, and the ugly, and how does what do you think in general, like where it's going?
First of all, you know, I'm very active on social media, you know, Wicked Cuts. You know, we do, most of our business is direct to consumer. We're starting to switch more to, you know, retail, but thank God my wife had the foresight to build social media. You know, I've got almost 3 million followers on Facebook. And
we love you, Trish.
You know, and almost 800,000 on Instagram. And I give my wife mad credit for that because when social media first came out, I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. I'm like, I'm not going to go around taking selfies of myself and worrying about getting likes or whatever. This is stupid. And but you know, she had the foresight to see how valuable it was, and thank God she did. Now I'm much more supportive of it, and I deal with social media every day with my businesses. But that's kind of how business is done these days, for better or for worse. You know, I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it really has some really good aspects to it, and I think there's some negative aspects to it too. You know. I think, you know, anybody can post anything. So, you know, we get hit with the fake news stuff or, derogatory things about people and that are not nice and sometimes not true. But on the flip side of it, as a company, I can project. I'm in control of my media. For Wicked Cuts, I put out the image. I put out there what and how I want to put out and advertise the way I want to do it, and I can do it right from my desk without having to hire an advertising firm or taking ads out in magazines, doing old school stuff.
Do you feel like it's made people lose that basic sense though of connection and networking and the ability to have some of those basic human interactions? And I know people lose a little of that, like it's almost like created a social awkwardness with a lot of folks.
Yeah, some people are addicted to it. You go to a restaurant, sit down, look at people. You can have 4 people sitting at a table in a restaurant. No one is talking to each other. They all got their phones out on social media. They're texting or they're on social media or they're doing whatever. And I see that all the time. And I just crack up. I'm like, wow, these people they're at their dinner together and they don't even talk to each other. They're on their phones. So it's definitely changed the world that we live in.
So you've had the tour. You've been, affiliated with the brand for a while now, a couple of years, and you've grown close, obviously, with Melinda and Jason. I had the opportunity to introduce you guys a while back, and it was a friendship that grew from there. You've taken vacations together. You've kind of learned how the company ticks a little. What do you think of Falkor, and what do you think of the evolution of it? And you've seen kind of my ascension here a little bit. What do you think of where it is and where it was and where it's going?
I think they're a very innovative, cutting-edge brand. My background was hunting, and I got into precision long-range rifle shooting years and years ago. And bolt-action rifles are always inherently, in my opinion, more accurate than gas guns. I think the first time I sat down and shot the Petra, I was very impressed. It would stand up to any bolt gun I'd ever shot. So with the right person behind it and quality ammunition, and I was very impressed. And I took it out, and after I had it for a couple months, went deer hunting, and I shot a deer at over 1,800 yards with it. And excuse me, not 18. I had a target at 1,800 yards with it, and I shot a deer at 1,203 yards, and from an AR style rifle, chambered at 300 Win Mag. So I was very impressed with it, man. And with the new technologies you guys incorporating, from the carbon fiber barrels to now the Dracos barrels, and very impressed with it, man. It made me a believer.
So the brand and the direction and just kind of everything we're doing, I think it goes without saying it's been an honor to have you involved with it. It's been an honor to have you, support it and support everything that we do here. And some of the new rifles we're coming out with, the standard pistol, trying to move in that direction. What do you think?
I think it's definitely going in the right direction. I think that the AR market is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably the biggest market in the country now, right?
Oh, it's the most common.
Most common, yeah. There's no doubt.
So I think you're definitely going in the right direction. I think Falkor is, in my opinion, is the Ferrari of the AR companies. You're paying a premium for it, but you're getting what you pay for. You're not going to get anything that's any better. So you want a super accurate, reliable rifle with some cutting edge technology in it that works, then Falkor is your brand.
Well, we appreciate that.
Got a similar comment from Clint Hansen. He's seen a lot of different rifle companies and how they build their stuff. And I'm not saying that we have some sort of specific secret sauce that we're hiding from people, but there is a level of care that's put into the assembly processes we have in place for these guns that ensures you're getting the absolute best thing we possibly put out there. We have a fantastic guy in Eric, our shipping and receiving manager, who has eyes on every single gun before it leaves the facility. He's the last person to touch it, and he's got a really, really particular way of going over it very specifically, so you're getting a consistent product every time. It's not cherry-picked guns that brands are shooting. The gun that you buy at your local dealer from Falkor is the same gun that he's getting.
It shows. Give you a story. Brian Dobson, who owns Metroflex Gym and trained Ronnie Coleman, myself, and many other champions. He's old school. He hunted with a pre-64 Winchester 30-06 that we called smooth bore. He shot it so much the rifle was out of the barrel, and but the damn thing still shot like really good. And that's what he shot it, hunted everything with, from deer to wild hogs to elk to whatever, bears, whatever. That was what he hunted with. And so after he shot that Petra, he went out and bought one from you guys, and he's hunting with it now. So that says something. You take a man who's hunted for 50-something years and convert him over, and then Chad, who was anti-gas gun,
oh yeah,
anti AR's a piece of crap. I don't know. Now he has one, and then all of his buddies have went out and bought some. I think they've got sold 5 or 6 Petras to all of his buddies who all had the same opinion of him until they shot the Petra. So, you can take somebody like Brian and can change his mind. Then that says something.
And Texas has been a great state for Falkor, and we've had your home dealer up here, DFW Shooting Sports, and some of the guys from down that way, have been obviously huge supporters of the brand, and we love that state. So hats off to the great state of Texas. They've been great to us, and we can't. I always say it in every meeting, we can't spend enough time in Texas. We really can't. We could be in that state for 3 weeks a year, and it wouldn't be enough time, to market and to spend time with the guys and get feedback. And feedback's really important to me because I'm no expert. I'm the first to say that. So getting feedback from folks that are out there using the firearms, traveling, participating in the shooting sports is always paramount to me. And what a lot of people don't realize is part of this podcast is having folks in and getting that feedback and getting that understanding. I want to thank everyone for the questions coming in on YouTube. I'm doing my best to kind of scan them. So
I was going to tell you a real story real quick. You asked me about how I got started, and I didn't get around to kind of finishing up. So I grew up in West Texas, northwest Texas, and a cattle ranch. And like I said, our closest neighbor was 8 miles away, and my best friend was a dog. And but you grow up like that. That's where you're from. You think everybody looks like that, so it's, you don't think nothing of it. But when I was in, we had a football team, but we barely had enough guys to have a team. So you didn't have to make the team because everybody that tried out made the team because we needed everybody we had just to have a team. So when I was in high school, we moved to the Fort Worth area, and I went from a school where the 2 best-looking girls in my school were my cousins to a school where we had 500-600 people just in my grade. So it was a huge high school, and I knew I needed to make. I wasn't stupid. I was like, man, if I'm gonna make the football team, I'm gonna have to get bigger, stronger, work out, do something to have a chance of making the team. So we didn't have any money. I was poor, and I met this kid in the neighborhood. He had a gym membership, so we go to the gym. He'd open the back door. I'd slip in. I'd work out, and we didn't know what we're doing. We're just young kids, 14, 15 years old, and just doing whatever. And,
Flexing in the mirror.
Matt, we didn't really do too much flexing in the mirror, but we were actually, we actually trained. We trained hard. We just didn't know what we're doing.
Nice.
It's like, you're working hard trying to build something, but you don't have a clue how to build it.
Yeah.
But that was us. And there was a bodybuilder there. First time I'd actually seen a bodybuilder. And this guy was like 280, 290 pounds. And, looked like a cartoon character. And
I remember the first bodybuilder I ever met, same reaction.
And I'm like, wow, I didn't know a guy could look like that. And, of course, we thought this guy was cool, man. He had a Corvette, had a different girl every week. They were all hot. And, we're like, well, he's, you're 15 years old. You're like, oh, that dude's cool. So, of course, he's stronger than the strongest person we've ever seen. And he came up to me one day in the gym that summer and said, hey, kid, why don't you show up tomorrow and I'll show you how to work out right. He goes, you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get hurt. I'm like, all right. So he walks off. My friend goes, you going to show up? I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to show up.
I think you said the same thing to me.
He goes, no, I can't say what I said about you. But I go, man, whatever. I said, I'm gonna show up and get buff, bro. I said, I'm gonna get all the chicks and I'm gonna kick your ass. And he's like, whatever. So I showed up the next day, and this dude annihilated me, right? So I threw up like 3 times. Came back the next day, kind of repeated the first day, but I just kept coming back. And so this guy, he showed me how to train hard, and train properly. And I gained, I think that summer, like 20 pounds, just halfway eating right and training. Made the football team, started. And fast forward a year, the next summer I'm back in the gym again training, and he says, hey, you ever think about competing? And I'm like, man, you're out of your mind. So I'm 16, 17 years old at this point. And he goes, well, why don't you come to the show and check it out? Check out the junior division. So he takes me to the show that weekend. I look at it. I look at the junior division. I'm like, you know what? If I train all summer, I could do this. And he's all right, I'm going to take you to a real gym. Monday morning, he picks me up. We drive across town. We pull up in this parking lot. It's like a warehouse district, and these garage doors are open. The music's so loud you can hear the music in the parking lot. All these chicks, out work squatting in the parking lot. These biggest dudes I've ever seen in my life, inside training. And he introduced me to the owner, this guy Brian, and he said, "Hey man, this is this kid I told you about. I wanted to do this competition at the end of the summer." Brian says, "You want to compete?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, but I don't have any money." I said, "I can't afford a membership." And granted, a membership back then was probably, $18, $19.
Yeah.
But I had no money. And so he goes, I said, "Man, I'll trade out with you. I'll clean the gym up, take the trash out, whatever. Just trade out, for a membership for the summer." He said, let me see what you look like. So I took my shirt off, hit a couple poses. He goes, I'll tell you what, kid. He said, you work out here all summer, represent the gym, and you win the contest, you don't got to pay. He said, if you lose, you're going to work it off. I said, fair enough.
It's fair enough trade.
26 years later, I still ain't bought a membership. So,
Fuck yeah, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, Brian.
So, and Brian is still at the same gym, and I think my first contest I trained for there, I got to train with Ronnie Coleman. They got Mark, who was his workout partner, and of course Brian trained us, and obviously, I won that competition, and I'm still there. So that's how it all started.
Amazing.
That was awesome.
So you rubbed elbows with quite a few people through the years, especially in the fitness community and even outside the fitness community. Who are some of the cooler people you've met and kind of interacted with that have maybe influenced you, but just kind of a cool experience?
Oh, man, there's so many. There's only been a couple of people in my life I actually wanted to meet. Of course, Arnold being one of them. Mm-hmm. I had the opportunity to compete in his competition many times and won the Arnold Classic a couple times. And so that was pretty cool to get to meet him. And, oh, man, so many, through everything I have in life, I get a lot of seminars across the world. And I always tell people, I said, everything I have in life, I owe to bodybuilding because of the discipline and the hard work ethic it taught me. It's enabled me to travel the world, meet people, from the President of the United States to movie stars, to singers, to athletes, and all across the world. So it's been pretty impressive, man. I got to meet a king or two overseas, and it's all been because of bodybuilding.
People ask me about the President one a lot. You've never posted that picture, have you?
Mm-mm. So never have. Sometimes you got to keep to yourself.
Oh, that was one I was sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, people ask me that story all the time, and it's a funny one because, obviously, we share a friendship with Don Jr., and we had the opportunity to go and meet the president. So it's funny. People ask, how'd that go down? Like, what was that experience like? And I always tell people, I'm like, it's kind of funny. I'm like, we almost missed it. I'm like, we had a dart in the back. It was kind of like this surreal experience. Like, get in this green room, and it's Branch and I, and it's like, Ruben from Vortex, and like, Max is there, Max Michelle, and a few of us, and we're like, and they had this huge spread in this green room, and I'm laughing because all I can think about is, I'll be honest, I said this to Branch, I never met a sitting president, and it's an honor always to meet a sitting president. And, especially someone that's on our side of the fence, So we get in this green room, and I'm laughing because all I can think about is Forrest Gump. And what was there was all the sodas and everything. And I'm like, remember I was like, hey, Max, go over there, get some food. Oh, man, I don't want to eat. I'm like, but if you get some food, we can all get some food, because he's like, he's like the shooter.
Almost had me about 14 Dr.
Yeah,
Peppers.
and I'm just sitting there. It was a surreal experience. And then we finally get in there, and I thought what was really cool about that, I tell a lot of folks, is we had the opportunity to get introduced to him, which was cool, which is a little bit different.
It was very cool, and it was a very small, intimate setting. It wasn't like there was,
probably about 30 of us,
yeah,
maybe 40
and,
the most.
It was very cool, an opportunity of a lifetime, like you said, to meet a sitting president. And this whole experience, I'll tell you, when I was, it takes me about 50 minutes to an hour to get downtown Dallas from where I live, north of there. And it took me about 2.5, 3 hours to get down there. And I get down there, and I can't find a parking space. There's more cops and security than I've ever seen anywhere, ever. And I finally had to bribe this parking attendant $50 to let me park somewhere. When it wasn't even a parking space, I'm like, hey, dude, let me park right here. I go give you $50, and he's like, all right. And it's pouring down rain, so I jump out, run inside, and we barely make it there. Afraid we're going to miss the whole thing. So it was a cool opportunity, man. I'm glad I got to experience that, and it's one of those things you never forget.
Yeah, I mean, it stems into the next question I have. That I think everybody would want to know. I want to know. Who do you look at? Maybe it's on social media, maybe it's somebody you never met, maybe it's people you've met. Who inspires you? I mean, who do you look at and you're kind of like, damn, I like how they do the damn thing. Who
inspires me? That's an easy question. I've traveled the world, and been a lot of military bases, doing things like that, and for the troops. And there's a guy who works at the gym. He's missing his left leg at the knee. He's missing his right foot. One arm is missing, and he's missing, I think the other arm he's missing from his elbow down. He's in there every day, and he trains his ass off. He does everything we do. He finds a way to do it, and he makes it happen. And people ask me what inspires me, and that inspires me because I wake up in the morning, my back hurts, my knee hurts, or whatever, like, gosh, dang it, man, or I tore my quad off the bone one time and had to have it reattached. Well, I still got a quad. I still got a leg. And now I'm whining about my knee hurts. I'm like, this man has been blown apart. He still comes in here. He's the most positive, upbeat person I've ever met. And he works his ass off every day and improves. He doesn't just train. He makes improvements. He gets stronger. He looks better. And he's never hurt him. He just finds a way. He doesn't complain. He doesn't cry. He don't want anybody to feel sorry for him. He just comes in and does it. And that inspires me.
I think that's really important to have.
And this guy was a veteran. He served overseas and obviously was wounded severely. But instead of crying about it, feeling sorry about it, he just found a way to overcome.
To have that grounding in that some, you know, I don't want to say like the little things, but just, you know, I know it's easy to say like, oh, you know, Ronnie inspired me, or this one or that one, but to see somebody that, you know, is without but still do and still get it done, I think that's
no, it just puts it in perspective.
Puts in perspective,
man. You know, someone like that, and then their mental attitude and outlook they have, and it puts it all in perspective, and makes me appreciate and makes me realize how blessed I am.
Before we get into some of the different closing segments, Sam, do you want to go over the contest and everything?
Sure, yeah. Let's give one more plug for our awesome show sponsors as well, guys. Every episode here has been presented by and is supported by Kenzie's Optics, 221B Tactical, Mark Bell's Slingshot. It's a relationship that John worked hard to get there. Bang Energy, obviously keeping us fueled here every day at Falkor.
Oh, God. Of course.
Without them, my bank account would be lighter from buying energy drinks at the gas station every morning. Taurus USA, awesome revolver options for guys looking for good value there. And Chick-fil-A Kalispell keeping us fed. We want that good cheat day. My cheat day's every day, but then again, you guys are a lot more strict with your diet than I am. We are being giving away a Falkor swag pack as well as a Taurus Raging Bull revolver. It's in 454. It's a big boy. To enter out on that giveaway, head over to our iTunes app, the iTunes page for Behind the Flame. Leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. We like, but, you know, assess the episode to your best ability. Drop your IG handle in the description whenever you're leaving the review for us, and we will pick a winner this afternoon for that pistol. And
Can I enter to win the pistol too?
Sure. I mean, no. I'm not going to pick you, but you can enter. You can leave us a review.
And we need, you know, guys, we need the reviews on the podcast. It's super helpful to us, so every review is appreciated.
There's a reason we're asking for it, folks.
We really appreciate it. So if you guys take a minute to head over there and leave a review, it's greatly appreciated. And also, if you're on the YouTube, please tap the like button and hit subscribe. And please take a minute, if you share it, if you share the YouTube or you share the podcast on iTunes, we appreciate that as well. It goes a long way. I'm trying to get us to about 200 ratings on the podcast by the end of this episode. I'd greatly appreciate it. We're at 190. So to all my guys on there, please take a minute to share and like and subscribe and send that out to your friends. I would appreciate it.
If you're mad about the iTunes giveaway,
wait, Derek has a major announcement.
Message John and talk to him about it.
So the one that you guys are liking and subscribing to, that's the video feed on iTunes. We now have an audio-only feed on iTunes, and that's so we can set that audio feed to everything like Spotify, Stitcher, all kinds of networks, Google Podcasts. So
you guys check out behindtheflame.com. You can find all the different methods of distribution for the show.
So we definitely want to get that video feed to over 200, but we wouldn't discriminate. If you want to like that audio feed only, that also helps us out.
We will look at both.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the question you said, who inspires me? Well, you know, that's somebody that inspires me. But as far as from a bodybuilding standpoint, I didn't know if that was the angle you were taking. But, you know, early on, I think it was Rich Gaspari, and who I had the opportunity to work for, you know, later on in my career. And then Dorian Yates was also a big influence on me, you know, with his training technique. And both of those guys were the same. They were both hard trainers. They were old school. And, you know, they trained in dungeons. And, you know, I saw a lot of similarities between them, their training styles, and myself. And they had big influences on me.
Who in business?
Ray Stern. Ray Stern was the most successful man I've ever known. He was a Dallas businessman. And he was a pro wrestler back in the early days. And like in the 40s, 50s, whenever it was. And he came to fame. He wrestled a grizzly bear and beat it.
Wait, what?
Yes. And yeah, they had, of course, you know, he didn't have claws, you know, it was declawed or whatever, but this bear had wrestled, you know, like 1,000 guys, never lost, you know, because one slap and you're pretty much done. But
this is ridiculous.
Yeah, he got in the ring, man, when he was a young man, and he remember thinking, all right, what can I do? How can I get this thing down? Well, he spun around, kicked it in the back of the legs, I think, and knocked it down. And when it fell on its back, it was so shocked. It just sit there, and he jumped on it and pinned it, and he won. And, so that was Ray, though, man. And so he gave me, I got the opportunity. He was a big supporter of bodybuilding and a super successful man, and there in Dallas. And he gave me some of the best advice anybody's ever given me, and I still adhere to that advice to this day. So very super intelligent man. And wise. He passed away a few years ago, but had a big influence on me in business.
Sorry to hear that. And, I think it's important to have these types of influences, and I've had them, in business and in life, and have these people around you. And we talked a lot about circle in the other room and how important your circle is, especially when you're coming up. As you get more established and you develop a little bit of a skill set, your circle will change and who you plug in. And I think some of the most overused statements are, if you want to be a millionaire, hang with millionaires. If you want to be a billionaire, hang with billionaires. But I think if you put people around you that are putting positive messages out there and that are putting positive influences on you, I think that it can go for miles. And you preach a lot about, the importance of putting those positive people around you. And I think it's about understanding, where you are, where you want to be, and where you're going.
Absolutely. And I've told you that same thing, I think, in conversations we've had, and that's some of the advice that Ray gave me when I was a young man. He said he knew a lot more about me than I thought he knew, and he said, if you want to be successful in bodybuilding, son, he said, you need to surround yourself with successful bodybuilders and people in the industry. He goes, same thing about business. If you want to be a successful businessman, you need to surround yourself with successful businessmen and get the negative people out of your life. And he goes, I know you're associating with some people, and this was many years ago. He goes, that aren't successful. And he goes, they're negative influences on you. He goes, you need to walk away from them today. And that's easier said than done, but I took it to heart. I remember I thought about it, and I respected this man so much. And because he lived what he preached, it wasn't do as I say, not as I do. It was,
look how I live.
Yeah, he walked the walk, and I'm like, I respected him. Everything he'd done in life and accomplished. I'm like, I want to do that. And, I want that to be me one day. And so the next day I got up and I changed my life. I walked away from some people and some relationships that I had, and never looked back. And like I said, that's sometimes easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
But almost immediately, my life turned around, and my bodybuilding career took off. Opened my own business, and it became successful, and I never looked back. So he was one of the most intelligent men I've ever known.
And you lived through me doing some of that, and it's tough. It's not easy. It's not an easy journey. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. I got a few rapid-fire questions I want to get to. We also have some Instagram posts, and we'll get to those. But I want to rattle off, because I know you're a humble dude, some of these accomplishments, just so people can take this in before we get to that. 2-time Arnold Classic champion. If anyone's paying attention the last couple of years, the Arnold Classic's fast becoming almost a bigger show, the more paramount show.
Branch called it the second biggest.
Yeah, easily the second biggest. 2-time. How many 2-time winners are there? Handful, right?
A handful. I don't know. There's only been very many.
Handful. AAU Teenage Mr. America, MPC Teen Nationals Light Heavyweight and Overall Champion, MPC Nationals Heavyweight Champion, Charlotte Pro Champion, New York Pro Champion, Arnold Classic, British Grand Prix, Arnold Classic, Australian Grand Prix, and you got as high as Mr. Olympia, what?
Runner-up.
Runner-up?
Yeah.
Couple ones?
Times, yeah.
Couple times.
No, there's a few more on there that are on there. I got a few more victories than what's on there, but
That's Austin's fault for not including
Yeah,
that.
I don't commit them to memory. He's my friend, but that's,
it's just I got the opportunity to live my dream.
Don't say it's just stuff.
Now you just I think I did in my career. I did 23 shows. I won almost half of them. So in bodybuilding, that's a pretty high winning percentage. Not too many people do that. So in the history of the sport. So Mr. Olympia, I think there's been 14 men in almost 60 years, over 60 years win the title. So a pretty exclusive club. And Arnold Classic is somewhat like that. I forget the exact number of winners, and it hadn't been around quite as long as the Olympia, but still a very exclusive club of men who walked away with that title. So I've been very blessed. You know, I was 18 years old, and actually when I won that show, the Teenage Nationals Championship in 1993. You ever have a moment in life where you make a decision and you always remember that moment? And I got back from it was in Raleigh, Durham, before the show was, and I got back to Dallas, and I was driving to Metroflex on a Monday morning to go train, and I was at the time, I think, the first person from the gym to win a national title, and I don't think anybody was even pro yet out of there, and I remember driving, I was like, man, I'm gonna be a pro bodybuilder, and I'm gonna do this, and this, and I mapped out my whole career on that drive to Metroflex, and I never forgot it, and I stuck to it, and one by one, I slowly accomplished everything on the list, and I had no idea. When I turned pro, I thought, all right, man, if I can just make this last, 3 to 5 years, that'd be great. I had no idea that I would start in 2001 and, compete all the way through 2016. So, very blessed. Got to travel the world, make friends all over the world, meet people, and I'm still doing it. I'm still very much involved in it, and I just signed a deal with some guys with Wild One Protein over in the Middle East, and I've got still got all the fitness and shows, and still very much involved with the sport that I love.
So let's get to a couple rapid fire things that I think people will want cleared up. What's your favorite rifle?
You better give the right answer.
Let me think about it.
Doesn't have to be a Falkor. All right, let's exclude Falkor. What's your favorite rifle?
Other than Falkor.
Other than Falkor, Winchester Model 70 Pre-64.
Favorite caliber rifle?
Favorite caliber rifle?
Come on, we're getting the trolls excited.
That's a tough one.
Norma. I'm going to answer it for you.
Yeah, 300 Norma.
I knew it. Favorite handgun?
Favorite handgun?
That's a fucking tough one. You and I debate that every night.
My favorite handgun is a 1911. All right, my favorite handgun I have is actually a Wilson Combat 1911.
In 45?
In 45. But
I'm not saying anything.
I don't think the gun I carry and the gun I shoot with is a Glock.
Smart man. Favorite handgun caliber?
My favorite handgun caliber? 357 SIG.
That's such a politically safe answer.
What a hipster.
I know. I gotta respect that, though. I would have given that answer, but I know the real answer.
It's right here.
I know the real answer. Yeah. Favorite part about the gun business?
About the gun business?
Yep.
I think meeting the people you meet. I've got to meet people like Tony and some other people, veterans and stuff that I would have never got to meet and form relationships with them, and I think that's definitely the favorite part about it.
Worst part about the gun business?
Dude, it's like a dick measuring contest every day with these guys. Some of them. I'm like, it's like we talked about that in the green room. It's I think with bodybuilding there's a pecking order. Because you can talk all the smack you want to talk, but once you go to the show and the placings are done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down, then it is what it is. Everybody knows where they stand up. With the gun business, I see a lot of these guys. Everybody thinks they're the man. It's a bunch of alpha males, just like it is with bodybuilding. But there's not really any way to put everybody in their place. So I just shake my head sometimes.
Did you hear that, ESPN? There needs to be a way to put everybody in their place. I've been preaching this for years.
The gun industry needs a pecking order.
Get a Coca-Cola involved or something. So you've said so much. I mean, we've covered there's so many things we could talk about. I do want to ask, one more question. Through the years, you deal with so much. So much comes at you, business opportunities, everything. What's your process for sifting through and figuring out, what direction you're going to go and what opportunities you're going to take? Do you reflect? Do you pray? Give the folks some advice out there, because I know I lean on you for this a lot. What is your process for kind of looking at all these different opportunities and things that come up, even coming out here? Is it just, hey, that's my friend, I'll go do it? I mean, what gets you to where you are today? And leave people with kind of a thought on how to handle opportunity and maybe lack of opportunity that comes to them.
First of all, does it make sense? And is it something I would actually support? I'm not going to, if I endorse a product, I have to believe in that product. I'm not going to endorse something that I don't believe in. Bottom line. I'll give an example. I had an opportunity to, legal marijuana it's becoming a big thing.
And, huge.
I had an opportunity here a couple years ago to do something like that, and out in Nevada, and looking back on it, I walked away from a lot of money actually, because it turned out to be really successful. But I'm thinking I don't want my daughter smoking, and I'm always preaching her don't do drugs, this and that. So, but it's okay. But Daddy owns the company, and I sell it, but I don't want you doing it. That's I couldn't live with that, and I remember I actually called. I think I talked to you about it. Talked to Jason, and I talked to my wife, and I was like, she goes, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm not doing it." I said, because how am I gonna justify telling my daughter, don't do this, but yet Daddy's over here doing this? And I said, regardless of how much money it is. So that's something and I prayed about it, and at the end of the day, being able to look in the mirror in the morning and like the person who looks back at me is more important.
I think no matter what it is, if you don't believe in it, you can't get behind in it. And that doesn't mean you disagree with it. It just means it's not something you feel you can.
Everyone's got their own personal.
And I said, I ain't judging nobody about it or whatever. Some of my best friends smoke or whatever, and that's their decision. But for me, it's just not right for me. And I don't want my young daughter experimenting with this stuff. So she's too young, and so I think the process I go through is, all right, do I believe in it? Is it a quality product, or is it a quality business, something I want to get behind and support? And I pray about it, and I always talk to my wife, before I make any major decisions. So with Wicked Cuts, it's something I believe in. It's beef jerky. I love it. Very much. I developed the products along with my partner, and something I can stand behind. I ate it myself, and I'm proud of it. And so that was an easy decision.
I mean, your passion shows through for it too. Honestly, just observing from the outside, I'm not as involved in it or as knowledgeable about it as John is, and just seeing what you built there and how new it is, and how much has grown since you started. You can tell that you are passionate about it, and that shows through with anything that you do. It really is something that I admire, and I'm not trying to, excuse me, ruffle any or fluff you up or anything like that. But I'm just saying it stands out, and you notice it. There's an intangible quality there you see that the ownership really cares about what they built.
Absolutely. If you believe in something and you put your heart and soul into it, then you're going to be passionate about it. So, and I think that's definitely, no matter what I've done over the years, business-wise, that's something I've had to. I'm a very passionate dude. So if don't believe in it, not passionate about it, I'm not going to do it.
I think it goes without saying that passion is going to lead to fire, and fire is going to sometimes burn people or ruffle feathers. And if you're passionate and you have that fire in your belly, I know Jason and I go at it sometimes like cats and dogs because we're passionate about certain things. And I think that, when you have that passion, as long as it's directed properly, good things can come. As we get close to wrapping, and we'll see if Jason has any thoughts he wants to add in, because he's scurried into the room. He slid in here. I know you're a big political guy, and you always analyze what's going on in the world. How do you feel about this country, and how do you feel about the direction it's going in?
I think it's the most divided I've ever seen in my lifetime. Is it going the right direction? Yeah, I think the economy is the best I've ever seen. I can't say anything really. I think the economy is great. Is it going the right direction? I think so, but there's a lot of political division, a lot of, and it's not a good thing. I think you shouldn't get angry at somebody just because they have a different political view. You should be able to sit there and respect someone else because they have a different view and just agree to disagree. But we're starting to see people get crazy, man.
And we talk a lot about that, agreeing to disagree, and I think we see it a lot with, we were talking about it in there, with the people that hide behind the accounts and things like that. It's tough out there with social media and so many different avenues, and you talk about boards and discussion groups and chat rooms and things like that. I think, and Frank asked what we think is dividing it. I think what divides it is people can't have an educated conversation.
We can't have a civil conversation. If you don't think you get two people have different into the political spectrum, and they demonize each other because they have different views. When in reality, these two people probably have more in common than they do apart. But because of they can't get past their own political views and accept that somebody else just has a different view or different opinion, then it turns into shouting matches and insults and calling people names and Nazis and racists.
It's ugly.
This and that. And it's just, it's not a good thing for the country.
I know you and Jason and Mel and Trish got the opportunity to travel a little bit together and spend some time over in Europe, and now you're back. And I know you were getting nice and fat over there, and now you're dieting, you're getting in shape. Any cool stories from that trip? Anything you guys want to weigh in on? Give us a little snapshot of traveling together.
Well, let me see. I gained 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
On cheese, pure cheese.
Hey, that's the first time me and Trish aren't going on a vacation, and I travel all the time, like all the time. Every week I'm somewhere in the world, and Trish doesn't. She used to with me, but since we have children or have faith, she stays home. And so I usually just want to stay home. Trish wants to go out and do stuff. So Jason Lunda said, "Hey, let's go on a trip." I was like, "That sounds fun."
Because you're a selfish bodybuilder.
And absolutely. And so they said, "Where do you want to go?" And Trish has always wanted to go to Italy, and I think that's the only place left that she hasn't been besides Israel that she wanted to go to. So I said, "What about Italy?" And they were like, "All right, let's go." So we planned. Actually, Melinda planned the trip out, and we met up in Rome. And
Why don't you talk about that experience we had when we decided to go to the gym one night? I think the viewers would be very impressed to hear the facility we went to and the hardcore training we did that day.
all right, so we're in Rome, and me and Jason. Jason goes, "You going to train?" I said, "Yeah, I definitely want to train tonight." So we're in Rome, and I'm like, "All right." I said, he goes, "You want to find a gym or me find a gym?" I'm like, "I'll find a gym. I travel all the time. I'm good at finding, good gyms." So I Google, hardcore bodybuilding gyms in Rome. Top 10 gyms pop up. I'm looking. Well, there's one that's like, 0.4 miles away or something. I'm like, that's our place. And I'm looking at the pictures of it. It looks like a dungeon. I'm like, all right, that's my kind of place. Let's go. And so Trish comes with us, and Melinda didn't come. And we all pile on this little taxi. We drive, and it's like our hotel's in a nice area. We go just a couple blocks, and it turned into like a not so nice area. And he pulls up in this little alleyway. Of course, these alleyways were, I think, made for horse and carts back in the day, not cars. And he goes, "It's down that way." And I go, "Well, drive down that way." He's like, "No." And Jason's like, "Damn, man, the taxi driver won't even go down there." I go, "Come on, let's just go." So we're walking down this alleyway, rats and trash and stuff. And I see a sign. It's, gym. I'm like, all right, there we go. This is going to be good. Because, some of the best gyms, Metroflex, for example, is in a bad area. And Dorian Yates' Temple Gym in Birmingham, same kind of thing, dark alleyway. And we walk in. The guy sees us, and the first thing he says, he goes, "Hey, you guys ain't going to like this place." And I'm like, "Well, can we look around?" He goes, "Yeah, go ahead and look around." This was the worst gym I've ever been to in my 26 years of working out. I'm like, it was so bad.
Hands down the worst.
It was horrible, man. I mean, it was like a maze of rooms with have like one or two pieces of equipment in it. And like we tried to do the Smith machine bench press. Well, Jason is like, what, he's 6'5"? Yeah. He couldn't, it was like bolted to the floor and you could only face the wall. He had to put his feet like up on the wall above him because he's so tall because there wasn't enough room to do the machine. And we went in to do dumbbells and like they had like almost no weights and there was already two guys in there. We had to wait for one of these dudes to get out so we'd have enough room to get into the room to do the weight. And then we had this guy, Mr. Stinky, that like this brother hadn't took a bath in like months. And it looked like you see that thing off the Peanuts.
Pigpen.
Pigpen that has a cloud following him. That was this dude, man. He would come, and it's like time to evacuate and go to another part of the gym. And it was horrible, man. And we laugh about it now, but he's like, you're there, so you just make the best of it. And
right, we had a great time in there. Actually, I was sore the next day. So
yeah, weight is weight. 100 pounds weighs the same in Montana as it does in Rome or Texas or wherever. 100 pounds is 100 pounds. So, you can actually, as long as you have something, you can usually get a workout in. So we actually, it turned out being okay. We just worked around it, did what we did, but it was pretty funny.
I wondered how Jason was going to handle that trip because his attention deficit disorder would run wild on him, not getting his workouts in, not having his proper meals, but he...
There was no healthy eating.
None.
I think I ate ice cream every night, pasta 3 or 4 squares a day. I was sick of pasta when it was over.
We had pasta every meal except for breakfast, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and it was pasta pretty much, which was okay, but after 10, 12 days of it,
yeah,
we were all blimped out.
I was bloated. I was about 20 pounds heavier. I couldn't even take my wedding band off. It was a great time, though. I encourage anyone that hasn't been to Italy to go visit there, especially with a cool couple like Branch and Trish. I consider them very close friends. One thing about Branch is he's real. You're very real. You know, you don't beat around the bush. There's no gray area with you, which I can appreciate. It's not always the answer you want to hear. It's not always fluffed up and said politically correct, but it's real, and that's what I like. I hear people tell me all day long what I want to hear. I need people to tell me things I don't want to hear. So, and that's how I surround myself, kind of like what you do, is with people that are going to be real and tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, you're a world-renowned bodybuilder, so, you know, I've always been fascinated how you handle the success, how you handle people constantly coming up to you wanting autographs. And I got to tell you, even in Italy, you take the time to talk to the kids, the athletes, and sign every autograph. You take pictures with anybody that comes up to you, which says a lot about someone. You know, so I knew you plenty of time ahead of this trip, but it really sunk home when I was just watching how you handled yourself, and the same with Trish. You know, I know who runs the house around there. You think you do, but at the end of that trip,
don't tell nobody that.
You
No,
can say the same about Melinda with me. So
Melinda's like she's not the boss. She's the general.
that's right.
But no, I thank you for saying that, Jay. I appreciate that, man, and I feel the same way about you. And I'll tell you a story I was telling the guys in the green room earlier. You know, because somebody said, you know, man, I guess when they're in Houston, they said, man, you stop and talk to everybody, take pictures with everybody. You're never too busy for anybody. And I said, well, let me tell you a story about that. I was a teenager, and they had a pro show down in Houston. I was 19, and they wanted to go to the show because there was a bodybuilder there that, you know, I'd seen in the magazine, seen on TV, and I wanted to meet him. You know, it's like I'd never asked at that point in my life, I'd never asked anybody about for an autograph or a picture in my life. And so I talked to Ronnie Coleman, and I said, hey, can you give me some tickets to the show? Because, you know, pro show tickets were expensive, and we didn't have no money. So he said, yeah, I'll get you a couple tickets. And so I think Brian got us, they got us some tickets. So me and my buddy, I said, hey, man, I'll drive down. I'll buy the gas down. You buy the gas on the way back. It's about a 4-hour drive from Dallas down to Houston. And so we'll go down, watch the show, and then drive back that night. He's like, all right, cool. We drive down there, watch the show, and after the show, we see this guy, you know, that I'd idolized and looked up to. Walked up to him, and I said, hey, man, can I get a picture with you? And that's back when, you know, we didn't have cell phones back then and iPhones and all that. We had a little wind-up, you know, box camera thing. So he's like, nah, kid, I ain't got time for that. I'm like, dude, I just want to take a picture with you, man, you know. And he's just a total asshole, basically. And it didn't end well. Bad experience. Wouldn't take a picture with me. And so we're driving back home that night, and me and my friend talking. I'm like, man, you know, if somebody came up to me and wanted to take a picture with me, I said, that would humble me. I'm like, wow, man, somebody wants to actually take a picture with me and get my autograph. I'm like, to me, I'm thinking that would humble me a lot. And my friend's like, you know, forget that guy or whatever. And if we go back to the gym, everybody asks us how it was. I go, man, dude was an asshole. Wouldn't even take a picture with us. Wouldn't talk to us. Wouldn't get an autograph, nothing. And so everybody in that gym that used to look up to that guy, now everybody in that gym was like, they didn't want to buy his products he endorsed. They wouldn't, you know, they weren't fans no more. So he lost a whole gym full of people because of the way he treated us. Well, fast forward a few years, I turned pro. And one of my very first pro competitions, I competed against this guy, and I beat him. So after the show, I walked up to him backstage. I said, hey, man, you probably don't remember this, but a few years back in Houston, there's a couple kids that wanted to take a picture with you. And I said, you wouldn't take a picture with us, bro? And I said, that was me. I said, you never know who that kid is you're talking to, bro. And I walked off. And, you know, of course, it did feel good because that little kiddie punch you get him, you know, I got him back. But I remember telling myself, you never know who that kid is you're talking to or that person. And they don't know. I mean, you may be having a horrible day. You might have just got into an argument with your wife or, you know, crashed your car the day before. Or they don't. Who knows what might happen? You might be just having a terrible day in a bad mood. It happens to all of us. But that person coming up to you, they don't know that. They just say, oh, man, that's a guy that I've seen in the magazine, seen on TV, seen in a movie, whatever. And they just want to meet you. You know, take a picture with you, say hello. And so how hard is it to really put a smile on your face, shake their hand, you know, talk to them for a moment, take a picture, and then go on. And then that person's going to go and tell everyone their friends, hey, man, that guy was cool, man. I walked up to him, he was talking to me, blah, 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 and you've got a fan for life.
Right.
And that's the difference.
You know, that little incident probably went a long ways with you. And I will say it's no different in business. You know, you never know who you're talking to.
Well, it's still, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. And, you know, just like in Italy, you know, it still amazes me that, you know, we're someplace in Florence or, you know, Pisa or wherever it was. We were in different places we went, and people would come up and want to take a picture. It just humbles me because I'm like, wow, you know, I'm in a country, a place I've never been before in my life, and people know who you are and they want to just meet you. So it's very humbling, and I'm very appreciative of that. So, you know, without them and people like that, I wouldn't get to do what I do. So.
And just think about business. So many people come up and talk business. You don't know who you're talking to.
That
You
is
know what I'm saying?
very
It
true.
costs you a lot of business.
I've had that exact thing happen a couple times in my life, and here recently it's come back. I didn't know who they were, and you know, but you always just try to treat everybody the way you want to be treated, and it came back full circle for me. So that's a golden rule: doing to others as you want done unto you.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, Branch, I appreciate, and everybody here at Falkor appreciates all that you do for us behind the scenes, coming all the way up here to Kalispell, Montana, you know, talking to us, sharing your stories. It means a lot. And you know, a guy like yourself could go anywhere. You could be a brand ambassador, part of a brand anywhere. And it's an honor to have you here representing us and helping us. So many thanks.
I thank you. Thank you very much for letting me represent you. And you guys are a great company, have a great product, and I'm looking forward to getting my butt kicked climbing in the mountains this weekend, trying to hunt a mule deer. So it's going to be good.
I think it goes without saying, you know, as we wrap, because we're getting long here, that Jason and I, you know, Branch sometimes is in the middle of, you know, and Jason said he spits the truth, and it's, you know, a lot of times we'll bounce things off of him inadvertently. You know, I'll say, you know, Branch, what do you think of this? And he'll say 100% what the truth is. You know, he'll say it. And I know he does the same back to Jason, and that's a really cool feature. It's great to have. You know, in the Italian culture, you call it a consigliere. It's great to have that type of person, you know, involved and kind of be around the building. He'll tell you if he likes something. If you don't like it, if he does feel passionately about something, the answer you'll get back is 100%.
100%.
100%.
100%.
100%. No doubt.
100%.
I
No
wish
doubt.
we had a good conversation in the truck yesterday driving back from Missoula.
100%.
100%.
We're not going to get into the conversation. But before we get to shameless plugs and everything else, in closing remarks from Sam, where can people find you, Branch? What are the links and what is everything else?
You go to The Branch Warren, and on Facebook and Instagram, that's my social media pages. TheBranchWarren.com is my website. And of course, if you want the best beef jerky ever, go to wickedcuts.co.
We got it right here. We're going to pull it up on the screen, show folks where they can go. Right there.
Right there. And then also Gasp, official Gasp, and for my clothing line and Gasp products. And then, of course, Black Skull USA for my nutritional supplement line.
If anyone wants to reach out to you, this is a common one. Is the best way to send an email on IG, stuff like that? If anyone's soliciting anything.
If you want to reach out to me, direct message me on Instagram, and that's the best way to get to.
Don't be a weirdo.
Yeah, no weird stuff.
Yeah, if you have a legitimate inquiry, reach out.
We don't do weird.
Before we get to Sam's closing remarks, I want to take a minute, similar to Jason, and it goes without saying, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your friendship. I think it goes without saying I wouldn't be here without your help, your influence, your guidance. And by here, I mean where I am. The last couple of years, you've helped me mature tenfold in the way I look at things, the way I analyze a situation, your insight, what you've given me, and just even being, you know, we talked about what a real friend is in the other room and being a friend. And I know that's not something you throw around lightly. You know, you're a couple years older than me, and I think that maturity and the things that you've been through in your journey have helped me kind of understand my journey and where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do. And whatever happens from here, you'll always be a big part of that, and you'll always influence me. And you know I say this a lot. I can't thank you enough for your friendship and your help and your mentoring and all that. You've been like a little bit of an older brother to me in many ways, and there's probably not a major decision I don't make without bouncing it off of you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
That goes both ways. Thanks for being a friend to me, and got a lot of good things in front of us. So you've come a long way in the past few years. So you're still not, the journey's still not at the end of the road. Still got a lot of journey to go. So have fun with it, man.
Trying.
So just like me, I've got to live, follow my passion and make a living doing what I love doing. And you're doing the same. I don't know anybody, like I told Jason, anybody that's more passionate about the 2A community than you are. So, and you're doing what you love doing. So I like that when I can see people that have a passion in life and they get to live that passion and make a living doing it. So that in itself is being blessed.
Amen. And I think without folks like you, Tony, and certain folks that have influenced me along the way, I like everybody to know that it's important to me what goes out there, and it doesn't go out there without proper refinement and review and kind of taking a moment to reflect and talk to folks. So I appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough, and thank you for coming out. So we'll get to Sam, we'll get to closing remarks, and pick a winner on this badass giveaway, that 454.
All right, guys.
So we're giving away a Raging Bull 454 Cazul.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
some
cool,
Taurus
man.
USA, some Falkor swag, maybe some Wicked Cuts jerky.
We can give away some wicked cuts.
All right.
All right, we're tossing in some meat.
All right, guys. I want to thank Branch so much for coming out. He's a staple here at Falkor now, and we appreciate it every single time. We're going to give a shout out to our sponsors for the show, Kenzie's Optics, your go-to source online for any sort of optical device or accessory you need to strap to your gun to make it better. Check them out, so you'll be able to see the website right there. We got 221B Tactical and Suresh Madhaven, a good friend of Falkor. Make some awesome products for both the armed citizen and the law enforcement officer. Make some seasonal stuff out there, base layers and such. We've been taking a look at that stuff around here. It's awesome. Mark Bell Slingshot, awesome gear there for working out. That's not my strong suit. John can speak more to the Mark Bell stuff, but big fan of Falkor, big supporter of the 2A community, so definitely check them out if you need some gear for the gym. Bang Energy, keeping us fueled here at Falkor. The Rainbow Unicorn flavor is their newest offering, so definitely check that out. Gas stations around here in the Flathead Valley are starting to carry Bang Energy, much to mine and Haley J. Photo's delight. She's smiling there in the background. You can see her. She's right there. Taurus USA donating the 454 Cazul Raging Bull model revolver to the giveaway today. Thanks to those guys and for making that stuff. I know that some folks might not have a lot of love for Taurus, but we can appreciate everything they're doing over there, and they've been good friends to us here at Falkor, so we definitely thank them for supporting us. And, of course, Chick-fil-A Kalispell. Give them a follow on Instagram right there. It's the only Chick-fil-A in the entire state of Montana. The ownership over there is great. Everyone that works there, of course, at Chick-fil-A has been phenomenal. We are doing the giveaway, like Branch said right before we're going. That is the Taurus 454 Raging Bull Revolver, a Falkor swag pack, and some Wicked Cuts jerky. To enter that giveaway, head over to the iTunes podcast app, either the video or the audio-only feed of Behind the Flame. Leave us a review, like I said, preferably 5 stars, and make sure you drop your Instagram handle in the review itself. And Austin and I will pick a winner this afternoon. Tomorrow, we got another episode live. We're having Noah Alkenberg, co-founder of Wiseman Company, is going to be with us. He's going to be around the shop today, seeing how we run things and what we do, and we're going to have him on the show tomorrow. So look forward to that. Thanks a lot for watching us today on Behind the Flame, folks. We'll catch you next time.